Captain Sarah Chun pressed her face against the cold window of her ship. Space stretched out before her, dark and empty except for the strange metal structure floating ahead. It was huge, bigger than anything she had ever seen. The thing looked like a giant wheel made of black metal, turning slowly in the void. "What do you think it is?" asked Martinez, the ship's engineer. He stood behind Sarah, looking over her shoulder at the massive station. "I don't know," Sarah said, "but our sensors picked up some weird readings from it. Something is still working inside that thing." Dr. Yamato joined them at the window. She was the team scientist, always curious about new discoveries. "The metal doesn't match anything in our databases. This station is old, really old. Maybe thousands of years." Sarah nodded. They had been exploring the outer edges of known space for months, looking for new worlds and new life. This was the first time they had found something this interesting. "Martinez, can you get us docked to that station?" "Sure thing, Captain," Martinez said. He was good with machines and could fix almost anything. "Give me 10 minutes. The docking took longer than expected. The station's ports were different from anything they knew. Martinez had to be creative, using cables and magnetic clamps to lock their small ship to the ancient structure. "Atmosphere looks good inside," Dr. Yamato said, checking her instruments. "Oxygen levels are normal. Temperature is cold, but not deadly. Whatever this place is, something is still keeping it alive." Sarah put on her spacesuit anyway. She didn't trust old alien technology. Everyone suited up. "We don't know what's waiting for us in there." The airlock opened with a soft hiss. Sarah stepped inside first, her boots making echoing sounds on the metal floor. Emergency lights flickered along the walls, casting strange shadows. The corridor was wide enough for 10 people to walk side by side. "The architecture is beautiful," Dr. Yamato whispered. The walls were covered in detailed carvings that seemed to tell a story. Strange symbols ran along the ceiling like writing. They walked deeper into the station. Every step took them further from their ship in safety. The corridor split into many paths, but Sarah followed the one with the strongest power readings. "Captain," Martinez called out, "you need to see this." They had reached a massive chamber. The ceiling was so high that their lights couldn't reach it. In the center of the room stood a tall cylinder made of glowing blue energy. Inside the cylinder, Sarah could see a shape. "Is that a person?" Dr. Yamato asked, moving closer. It was not human. The creature was huge, at least 9 feet tall. Its body was covered in thick, dark skin marked with old scars. 4 arms hung at its sides, and its head had a crown of bone spikes. The thing looked like a warrior from some ancient nightmare. "It's in some kind of sleep," Dr. Yamato said, reading her scanner. "This energy field is keeping it alive. The technology is incredible. This creature has been sleeping here for thousands of years." Sarah studied the alien warrior. Even asleep, it looked dangerous. Old weapons hung from its belt, and its armor was dented from many battles. "What do you think happened to its people?" "Maybe they're all gone," Martinez said. "This could be the last one." Dr. Yamato was examining the base of the energy cylinder. "These controls are still working. The station has been taking care of this creature all this time. It's like a tomb that keeps the dead alive. Should we wake it up?" Martinez asked. Sarah thought about this. It could be dangerous, but they might learn something important. "Dr. Yamato, is it safe to turn off the field?" "The creature seems healthy. Its body should work normally if we wake it up." "But Captain, we don't know anything about this species. It could be hostile." Sarah made her decision. "We're explorers. This is what we do. Power down the field, but slowly. Martinez, get ready to run back to the ship if things go bad." Dr. Yamamoto's hands moved over the alien controls. The blue energy began to fade. The creature's body started to move slightly as the sleep left it. Suddenly, the creature's eyes opened. They were bright yellow and very intelligent. The alien looked around the chamber, taking in everything. When its gaze fell on the three humans, it became very still. The creature stepped out of the cylinder. Its movements were smooth and controlled, like a predator. It spoke in a deep voice that seemed to come from its chest. "Who dares wake Kethver from his long sleep?" Sarah was surprised that it spoke their language, but she tried to stay calm. "I'm Captain Sarah Chun of the Earthship Discovery. We found your station and wanted to help." Kethver stared at her. His yellow eyes moved over each human, and his expression grew troubled. "Earth? That name means nothing to me. But you." He stepped closer, and Sarah could see the confusion in his alien face. "You carry the mark of the Devourers." "I don't understand," Sarah said. "What are Devourers?" "We're just explorers from Earth." Kethver pulled a device from his belt and pointed it at them. Strange lights played over their bodies. The device made beeping sounds that got faster and louder. When it stopped, Kethver looked like he had seen a ghost. "Impossible," he whispered. "The Devourers are dead. My people made sure of that long ago. Yet here you stand, carrying their genetic markers." Dr. Yamato stepped forward. "Sir, I think there's been a mistake. Humans evolved on Earth. We have records going back thousands of years. We're not connected to any Devourers." Kethver's four hands moved to his weapons. "Do not lie to me, creatures. I know what you are. I have fought your kind before. You may look different now, but the scanner does not lie. You are them." Sarah held up her hands to show she was not armed. "We don't know what you're talking about. We've never heard of Devourers. We're peaceful explorers. We just want to understand." "Peaceful?" Kethver laughed, but it was not a happy sound. "That word has no meaning when spoken by your kind. You are the plague that once ate worlds. You are the nightmare that made the galaxy unite in fear." The ancient warrior activated more systems around the chamber. Weapons emerged from the walls, all pointed at the three humans. Red lights began flashing, and alarms echoed through the station. "I must warn the galaxy," Kethver said. "The Devourers have returned." The weapons in the walls hummed with deadly energy. Sarah could feel the heat from them on her skin, even through her spacesuit. Kethver stood like a giant statue, his yellow eyes never leaving the three humans. "Please," Sarah said, keeping her voice calm. "There's been a mistake. We don't know anything about these Devourers you're talking about." Kethver pressed more buttons on his scanner. The device made new sounds as it studied the humans more deeply. "Your genetic code tells a different story, creatures. You may have forgotten your true nature, but the blood remembers. You carry the DNA of the most dangerous species this galaxy has ever seen." Martinez took a small step backward toward the entrance. "Captain, maybe we should leave and come back later?" "No one leaves," Kethver said. His voice was like thunder. Energy fields appeared across all the exits, sealing them inside the chamber. "I cannot let word of your return reach the galaxy unprepared. Too many died last time." Dr. Yamato pulled out her own scanner and began studying Kethver. "Your species is also very old," she said. "Your technology is far ahead of ours. But if you're so advanced, why are you alone on this station?" "Because someone had to watch," Kethver said. "Someone had to stand guard in case you ever came back. My people built this station on the edge of your old territory. We have waited here for thousands of years." Sarah tried a different approach. "What exactly did these Devourers do? If we're related to them, we should know our own history." Kethver's face showed old pain. "They consumed everything. Planets, stars, entire civilizations. They could adapt to any environment, survive any weapon. They bred faster than any species had the right to. Wherever they went, They left nothing but empty worlds. That doesn't sound like us, Martinez said. Humans work together. We build things, we explore, we help each other. Lies, Kefir snarled. You show mercy now because you are few and weak. But I have seen what happens when your kind grows strong. The Vorthak Empire once ruled 100 worlds. The Devourers destroyed us all in less than a generation. Dr. Yamato looked up from her scanner. Captain, his readings are strange. This creature is much older than the station. He might be over 10,000 years old. Kefir heard her. I am the last of my kind. Yes. I chose to stay here and watch while my people fled to distant galaxies. Someone had to remember. Someone had to be ready when the Devourers returned. The ancient warrior moved to a control panel built into the wall. His forehands danced across the controls with practiced skill. I am sending a warning signal now. The few free civilizations left in this galaxy must be told. Sarah felt panic rising in her chest. If this alien sent a message saying humans were dangerous monsters, it could mean war. Earth was not ready for that kind of fight. Please, just listen to us for a moment. Look at what we've done since we found you. What do you mean? Kefir asked, but he kept working on his message. We could have left you sleeping, Sarah said. We could have taken your technology and left. Instead, we woke you up because we thought you might need help. Does that sound like something these Devourers would do? Kefir paused. His yellow eyes studied Sarah's face. It could be a trick. The Devourers were clever. Martinez stepped forward, even though the weapons were still pointed at him. Look, I don't know about any ancient history, but I know people. When we found this station, our first thought was to see if someone needed rescue. Dr. Yamato spent an hour making sure it was safe to wake you up. She didn't want to hurt you. And when you pulled weapons on us, Dr. Yamato added, our captain told us to stay calm instead of fighting back. If we were these monsters you describe, wouldn't we have attacked? Kefir stopped working on his message. He turned to face them again. You speak of mercy and cooperation. These are not Devourer traits. But the genetic markers do not lie. Maybe your scanner is wrong, Sarah suggested. Kefir shook his massive head. Vorthik technology does not make mistakes. You carry their DNA. You have their adaptive capabilities. I can see it in your cellular structure. You are them. Dr. Yamato had an idea. What if you're both right? What if humans are related to the Devourers, but we're different now? Species change over time. Evolution doesn't stop. Impossible, Kefir said. Some things do not change. A predator is always a predator. But humans aren't just predators, Martinez said. Yes, we can be dangerous when we need to be. But we're also teachers, artists, parents. We care about things beyond ourselves. Kefir walked closer to them. His massive size made even Sarah feel small. Show me, he said. What? Sarah asked. Show me this mercy you speak of. Prove that you are different from your ancestors. Sarah looked at her crew. How could they prove their nature to a creature who had spent thousands of years hating their species? Then the station's alarms got louder. New lights began flashing on Kefir's control panels. What's happening? Dr. Yamato asked. Kefir checked his instruments. His face showed surprise and concern. My warning signal has reached the automated defense systems. They are coming online. Defense systems? Martinez asked. Ancient weapons left behind to guard against Devourer return, Kefir explained. They have been sleeping like me, waiting for a signal. Now they wake, and they will destroy anything carrying Devourer genetics. Sarah felt cold fear in her stomach. Can you call them off? Kefir was working frantically at his controls. I am trying, but they operate independently. They were built to act without mercy or hesitation. The station shook as something large attached itself to the outer hull. Then another impact and another. How many? Sarah asked. 7 Guardian units, Cuthbert said. Each one capable of destroying a small fleet. Dr. Yamato grabbed Sarah's arm. Captain, we need to get to our ship. The energy barriers are still up, Martinez said. We're trapped in here. Sarah looked at Cuthbert. The ancient warrior seemed genuinely troubled by what he had started. You can lower the barriers, she said. Let us go, and we'll leave your space. We won't tell anyone about this place. Cuthbert stared at her. You would trust my word, even after I have called death down upon you. What choice do we have? Sarah said. Besides, if you wanted us dead, you could have killed us yourself. The fact that you're upset about the Guardians tells me something. The station shook again, harder this time. Somewhere in the distance, they could hear the sound of metal being torn apart. Cuthbert made his decision. He pressed a control, and the energy barriers disappeared. Go, he said. Reach your ship if you can. But know this, the Guardians will follow you wherever you run. They will not stop until every trace of Devourer DNA is destroyed. Sarah led her team toward the exit at a run. Behind them, Cuthbert continued working at his controls, trying to recall the ancient weapons he had awakened. Captain, Martinez called as they ran through the corridors. What if he's right? What if we really are related to these Devourers? Then we'll face it together, Sarah said. But first, we survive. The corridor shook as another Guardian attached itself to the station. Sarah and her team ran through the twisting passages, their boots echoing off the metal walls. Behind them, they could hear the sounds of cutting tools working through the hull. How much time do we have? Sarah asked as they ran. Not much, Dr. Yamato said, checking her scanner. These Guardian units are working fast. They'll be inside the station in minutes. They reached the docking bay where their ship waited. Martinez ran to the controls and started the undocking sequence. Come on, he whispered to the machines. Sarah looked out through the bay windows and saw them. 7 dark shapes moved around the station like hunting spiders. Each Guardian was the size of a small building, covered in weapons and cutting tools. They moved with purpose, sealing off escape routes and preparing to enter the station. They're not just trying to kill us, Dr. Yamato said, watching the Guardians work. They're being smart about it. One is cutting through to our ship. The others are blocking all the exits. Martinez, how much longer? Sarah asked. 30 seconds, Martinez said. Sweat was running down his face as he worked. But Captain, even if we get free, those things will follow us. The station shook again. This time, they heard the sound of tearing metal much closer. One of the Guardians had broken through. There! Dr. Yamato pointed down the corridor they had just left. A machine appeared at the far end. It looked like a metal skeleton with too many arms. Each arm held a different weapon, and red lights scanned the area. The Guardians spotted them and opened fire. Energy beams turned the walls into glowing metal. Sarah grabbed her team and pulled them behind their ship for cover. The ship's not ready yet, Martinez shouted over the noise of the weapons. Sarah looked around the docking bay. It was mostly empty, except for some old cargo containers and maintenance equipment. We need to buy time. Dr. Yamato, what can you tell me about that thing? Dr. Yamato peeked around the ship with her scanner. Energy beams barely missed her head. It's old but well maintained. Heavy armor, multiple weapon systems, but Captain, it's scanning for genetic markers. It's humming specifically for us. Then we give it something else to think about, Sarah said. She picked up a piece of broken metal from the floor. Martinez, can you make this bay's gravity systems go crazy? Martinez grinned. I can make them dance. Give me 20 seconds. Sarah threw the metal piece across the bay. The Guardian immediately shot at it, thinking it might be a human. While it was distracted, Martinez worked on his controls. Suddenly, the gravity in the bay began to change. It pulled in different directions, making the Guardian stumble and spin. Its weapons fired wildly as it tried to keep its balance. "Now we move," Sarah said. They ran along the edge of the bay, using the gravity confusion to stay ahead of the Guardians' targeting systems. But more Guardians were coming. Sarah could hear them cutting through the walls. "The ship's ready," Martinez called out. They ran for their ship, but the Guardian had adapted to the gravity changes. It fired a net of energy that wrapped around Dr. Yamamoto's legs, making her fall. Sarah didn't think. She ran back for her teammate while the Guardian aimed its main weapon at the fallen scientist. "Captain, no!" Martinez yelled Sarah Dove and knocked Dr. Yamamoto out of the way just as the energy beam hit the floor where she had been. The metal melted like ice in the sun. "Thank you," Dr. Yamamoto gasped. "Save it for later," Sarah said, helping her up. "We're not safe yet." They reached their ship and scrambled inside. Martinez had already started the engines. As they pulled away from the station, Sarah could see more Guardians moving to follow them. "They're fast," Martinez said, checking his displays. "Faster than us." "Then we don't outrun them," Sarah said. "We outsmart them." Dr. Yamamoto was working on her scanner, studying the Guardians as they pursued. "Captain, these machines are thousands of years old. They're programmed to hunt devourers, but their knowledge might be outdated." "What do you mean?" "They expect their targets to act like the original devourers. Aggressive, direct, always attacking. What if we don't?" Sarah understood. "Martinez, take us toward that asteroid field. And cut our weapon systems offline." "Cut our weapons?" Martinez looked at her like she was crazy. "Captain, those things are trying to kill us." "Trust me," Sarah said as their ship moved toward the rocky asteroid field. The Guardians followed, their weapons charged up, ready to destroy the human vessel. But Sarah had other plans. "Dr. Yamamoto, can you make our ship look damaged?" "I can vent some atmosphere and shut down non-essential systems," Dr. Yamamoto said. "We'll look like we're dying." "Do it." Their ship began to drift among the asteroids, looking broken and helpless. The Guardians approached carefully, scanning for tricks. "Martinez, when I give the signal, use the asteroids," Sarah said. "Use them how?" "You're the engineer. Be creative." The first Guardian came close, its scanners focused on their ship. That's when Martinez activated the mining charges he had quietly attached to several asteroids while they drifted. The explosion sent chunks of rock flying in all directions. The Guardian, not expecting this tactic, was hit by several large pieces. Its armor held, but it was knocked off course. Again, Sarah said Martinez set off more charges, creating a cloud of debris. The Guardians were forced to navigate carefully through the rocks, which slowed them down. "They're adapting," Dr. Yamamoto warned. "Their formation is changing." Sarah watched as the ancient machines spread out, trying to surround them. But she had noticed something. They work alone. Even when they coordinate, each unit makes its own decisions. "So?" Martinez asked. "So we make them compete with each other." Sarah had Martinez pilot their ship between two Guardians. When both machines tried to capture them at the same time, their targeting systems interfered with each other. The confusion lasted only seconds, but it was enough for the humans to escape. "They're learning our tricks," Dr. Yamamoto said. "Each time we do something, they adapt faster." "Then we stop using tricks," Sarah said. "Martinez, take us back toward the station." "Back?" "Captain, that's where they came from." "Exactly. But it's also where HFY is." As they flew back toward the ancient station, Sarah opened the communication channel. "HFY, can you hear me?" The alien warrior's voice came through their speakers. "Human Captain, You still live. This surprises me. Your guardians are hunting us, Sarah said. But they're also damaging your station. We've led them away twice now to protect your home. There was silence for a moment. Why would you protect the station of your enemy? Because it's your home, Sarah said simply. And because those machines aren't just hunting us anymore. They'll destroy anything that gets in their way. Through the view screen, Sarah could see one of the guardians firing at the station's outer sections, trying to flush them out. Ancient metal was being destroyed by ancient weapons. They are damaging the memory banks, Cuthbert said, and Sarah could hear pain in his voice. 10,000 years of Vorthak history. We can help, Sarah said, but you have to trust us. Help how? Let us dock with your station. We'll leave the guardians away from the important sections. You can save what matters most. Martinez looked at Sarah like she had lost her mind. Captain, that puts us right in the middle of them. Sometimes the most dangerous place is the safest place to be, Sarah said. Cuthbert's voice came back. Human captain. Your offer makes no sense. Why would you risk your lives for Vorthak history? Because history matters, Doctor. Yamato said, all history. If we lose the past, we can't understand the present. Another long pause. Then, docking bay 7 is open. The docking went faster this time. Sarah and her team ran through the station corridors while explosions echoed around them. The guardians were inside now, hunting through the ancient halls. This way, Cuthbert's voice came through their communicators. Bay 7 leads to the central archives. They found him waiting in a room filled with glowing data crystals. His 4 hands moved quickly over the controls, trying to save thousands of years of history before the Guardians destroyed it all. The memory cores are too large to move, he said without looking at them. I can save some of the data, but not all. Show us what's most important, Dr. Yamato said. Maybe we can help. A massive explosion shook the station. One of the guardians had found them. The metal wall began to glow red as cutting beams worked through it. No time, Cuthbert said. You must go. Take this data crystal and leave this place. The galaxy must know what you really are. We're not leaving without you, Sarah said. Cuthbert looked at her with surprise. Why? I am your enemy. I called these machines to hunt you. Because you made a mistake, Sarah said. We all make mistakes. That doesn't mean we abandon people. The wall exploded inward. A guardian stepped through the hole, its red sensors scanning the room. It identified the humans immediately and raised its weapons. Sarah pushed Dr. Yamato behind one of the data storage units. Martinez grabbed a tool and threw it at the guardian, trying to distract it. The machine fired, and Martinez screamed as the energy beam hit his shoulder. Martinez! Dr. Yamato called out. She ran toward him. Even though the guardian was turning its weapons toward her, Sarah didn't think. She ran at the guardian with nothing but her hands. The machine was 10 times her size and covered in armor, but she couldn't let it hurt her friends. The guardian swatted her aside like an insect. Sarah hit the wall hard and felt something break inside her chest. Pain shot through her body, and she tasted blood. But her desperate attack had given Cuthbert time to act. The ancient warrior grabbed one of his old weapons and fired at the guardian. The beam punched through the machine's armor, and it fell with a crash that shook the floor. Captain! Dr. Yamato knelt beside Sarah. Blood was spreading across Sarah's shirt, and her breathing was shallow. How bad? Sarah whispered. Dr. Yamamoto's scanner told the truth her voice couldn't. Bad. Internal bleeding. Broken ribs. Without surgery. Sarah nodded. She understood. Martinez? I'm okay, Martinez said, holding his wounded shoulder. Just a burn. I'll live. More explosions echoed through the station. The other guardians were coming. Cuthbert stood over the fallen guardian, studying it with his scanner. This makes no sense, he said. The machine's records show it destroyed the human first, then the others. But you attacked it to save your companions. Of course you did, Dr. Yamato said. That's what humans do. No, Kethver said slowly. That is not what devourers do. Devourers sacrifice others to save themselves. Sarah coughed, and more blood came up. Maybe we're not the same as them. Kethver walked closer and knelt beside her. His massive form blocked out the light, but his yellow eyes were gentle. You and Captain, you are dying. I know. Then before you die, I will tell you who humans really are. Dr. Yamato and Martinez gathered closer. Even with the station falling apart around them, they needed to hear this. You were right, Kethver said. And you were wrong. You are not the same as the Devourers. You are the Devourers. Sarah tried to speak, but Kethver continued. Long ago, your ancestors consumed everything in their path. They spread across the galaxy like a plague, adapting to any world, surviving any weapon. The Vorthik fought them for 1,000 years and lost everything. Then how are we here? Martinez asked. Because something impossible happened, Kethver said. The Devourers chose to change. Not because they were forced to, but because they decided to become something better. Dr. Yamato shook her head. That doesn't make sense. Species don't just choose to evolve. Most species don't, Kethver agreed. But your ancestors did something that had never been seen before. They looked at what they had become and decided they didn't want to be monsters anymore. Sarah felt the pain in her chest growing worse, but she had to understand. What did they do? They exiled themselves to a single world at the edge of the galaxy, Kethver said. They destroyed their own ships so they could not spread. They erased their own history so future generations would not repeat their mistakes. Earth? Dr. Yamato whispered. Yes, Earth was their prison and their hope. They chose to stay there until they could become something new. And over millions of years, they did change. They kept their adaptability, their intelligence, their strength. But they added something that Devourers never had. What? Sarah asked. Compassion? The ability to choose others over themselves. The capacity to grow beyond their nature. Martinez looked confused. But if they erased their history, how do you know all this? Because my people were there, Kethver said. The Vorthik were the last to discover the truth. We spent thousands of years hunting for revenge against an enemy that no longer existed. When we finally found Earth, we expected to find the same monsters that had destroyed our empire. But you found us instead, Sarah said. We found humans. And humans were everything the Devourers should have been, but never were. So my people made a choice too. Instead of destroying Earth, we became its guardians. We built stations like this one to watch the approaches to your world. You were protecting us from the rest of the galaxy, Kethver said. There are many species who remember the Devourers and would destroy Earth without asking questions. My people died keeping that secret. Dr. Yamato looked at the data crystal Kethver had given them. This contains the real history? Everything, Kethver said. The rise and fall of the Devourers. Their choice to change. The birth of humanity. And the sacrifice of the Vorthik to protect that choice. Sarah felt her strength fading. Why tell us now? Because the galaxy needs the Devourers again, Kethver said. There is a new threat coming from beyond our galaxy. Something that makes the original Devourers look peaceful. We need their adaptability, their intelligence, their refusal to give up, but not their hunger, Sarah whispered. No, we need what they became, not what they were. We need humans. Sarah smiled, even though it hurt. So we're the monsters who chose to become heroes? You are the proof that redemption is possible, Kethver said. That any species, no matter how dark their past, can choose to be better. The station shook again. The remaining Guardians were getting closer. "Oh," Sarah said to her team. "Take the crystal and get back to Earth. Tell them who we really are." "We're not leaving you," Dr. Yamato said. "Yes, you are," Sarah replied. "That's an order." Ketfer reached for something on his belt. "Perhaps not," he said. Ketfer pulled a small device from his belt. It looked like a cylinder made of the same glowing material as the sleep chamber they had found him in. "Vorthak medical technology," he explained. "This can heal wounds that would kill most species." "Why would you help me?" Sarah asked. Blood was still flowing from her mouth, but her voice was clearer. "Because you have shown me something I thought impossible," Ketfer said. He activated the device, and it began to glow. "You attacked a superior enemy to save your companions. The original Devourers would never have done that." The healing light washed over Sarah's body. She could feel her broken ribs mending and the bleeding in her chest stopping. The pain faded like a bad dream. "Captain," Dr. Yamato said, scanning Sarah with her instruments, "your injuries are healing. This technology is incredible." Sarah sat up slowly. She felt weak but alive. "Thank you," she said to Ketfer. The ancient warrior nodded. "It is I who should thank you. Your actions have ended a watch that lasted 10,000 years. Another explosion shook the station, closer than before." "We still have the Guardians to deal with," Martinez said. Ketfer stood and walked to the wall controls. "No longer," he said. His four hands moved across the panel with sure movements. "I am sending the recall signal. My authorization codes will shut them down." The explosion stopped. The red alarm lights faded to normal white. In the distance, they could hear the Guardians powering down their weapons. "Just like that?" Martinez asked. "Just like that," Ketfer confirmed. "I was the one who woke them. Only I can make them sleep again." Dr. Yamato was studying the data crystal. "This history you've given us, it's going to change everything. When humans learn they're descended from the Devourers, how will they react?" "The same way the Devourers did when they learned what they had become," Ketfer said. "They will have to choose what kind of species they want to be. And if they choose wrong?" Sarah asked. "Then the galaxy will face the same threat it faced millions of years ago," Ketfer said. "But I do not think humans will choose wrong. You have proven that you are more than your ancestors." Sarah stood up, testing her healed body. Everything worked perfectly. "What about this new threat you mentioned? The one from outside our galaxy?" Ketfer's expression grew dark. "They are called the Void Swarm. They consume entire solar systems, leaving nothing but empty space. They are what the Devourers would have become if they had never learned to stop. How long do we have?" Martinez asked. "My deep scanners detected their advanced scouts 6 months ago," Ketfer said. "The main force will arrive within 50 years. 50 years, Dr. Yamato repeated. "That's not much time to prepare an entire galaxy. Which is why humanity must rejoin the galactic community now," Ketfer said. "Your people have the adaptability we need to fight something like the Void Swarm. But you also have something else that is equally important." "What?" Sarah asked. "Hope. The ability to inspire others to be better than they are. The galaxy has been dying slowly for thousands of years, race by race, world by world. They need to see that change is possible." Sarah looked at her crew. They had come out here to explore and find new life. Instead, they'd found the truth about their own origins and a threat that could destroy everything. "We have to go back to Earth," she said. "The government needs to know about this. Will they believe us?" Martinez asked. Dr. Yamato held up the data crystal. "With this evidence, they'll have to." Ketfer walked to another control panel and began entering commands. "I am preparing a communication array that will reach Earth directly. Your people should hear this news from you, not from strangers. What about you?" Sarah asked. "Will you come with us?" The ancient warrior was quiet for a long moment. "I have spent 10,000 years guarding against the return of the Devourers. My duty is complete. But perhaps I can take on a new duty, which is helping the children of the Devourers prepare for what is coming," Kethver said. "I know things about galactic defense that your people will need to learn." Sarah felt a weight settle on her shoulders. She had been just a ship captain a few hours ago. Now she was carrying the history of the human race and news of a cosmic threat. "This is bigger than one ship crew," she said. "Yes," Kethver agreed. "Which is why you will not face it alone. I will contact the remaining free civilizations and tell them the truth about humanity. Some will be afraid, but others will remember that the Devourer's greatest victory was not conquest, but choosing to change." The communication array came online with a soft hum. "Your message is ready to transmit to Earth," Kethver said. Sarah took a deep breath. "Dr. Yamato, open a channel to Earth Command." The signal would take hours to reach Earth, but Sarah knew this moment would change everything. She looked at the ancient alien who had become their ally, at her crew who had followed her into the unknown, at the data crystal that contained secrets older than human civilization. "Earth Command. This is Captain Sarah Chun of the Discovery. We have made contact with an alien civilization, and we have important news about human origins and a threat to the galaxy." As she spoke, Kethver worked at his controls, preparing to send his own messages to distant worlds. The age of Earth's isolation was ending. "Furthermore," Sarah continued, "I am requesting immediate authorization to begin diplomatic relations with the Vorthak representative Kethver, who has valuable information about galactic defense." When the transmission was complete, Sarah turned to Kethver. "What happens now?" "Now we prepare," the ancient warrior said. "The galaxy will learn that the children of the Devourers have returned, not as conquerors, but as protectors. And perhaps, for the first time in thousands of years, we will have hope that the darkness can be turned back." Dr. Yamato was already studying the station's databases, learning everything she could about Vorthak technology. Martinez was examining the Guardian machines, figuring out how human engineers might adapt their designs. Sarah looked out through the station's windows at the stars beyond. Somewhere out there, an alien swarm was moving toward their galaxy. But also out there were civilizations that might become allies. Species that could work together to build something stronger than any one race alone. "The Devourers chose to become human," she said to Kethver. "Now humans get to choose what they become next." "Yes," Kethver replied. "And I believe they will choose wisely. After all, they have already made the hardest choice of all. Which is the choice to be better than their nature demanded." As their ship prepared to depart the ancient station, Sarah carried with her the weight of history and the promise of the future. The galaxy was about to learn that its greatest enemy had become its greatest hope. And in 50 years, when the Void Swarm arrived, they would find not a collection of frightened, isolated worlds, but a united galaxy led by the species that had learned the most important lesson in the universe, that redemption was always possible for those brave enough to choose it.